Jason had always loved the quiet nights in his small town. After long days of working as a mechanic, he enjoyed the calm of the evening, when the streets emptied and the only sounds were the distant hum of passing cars and the chirping of crickets. But tonight was different. As Jason wiped his greasy hands on his work shirt, something caught his eye: a strange light in the sky, brighter than the stars. At first he thought it was just another plane passing overhead, but the light grew larger, brighter, and faster until it seemed to fall toward the earth. Jason stood frozen, his heart racing. Was it a shooting star, a meteor, or something else? Before he could think much more, the light flared up, a blinding flash that lit up the entire sky. Jason squinted, shielding his eyes, and then boom! The ground shook. A loud crash echoed through the night, and Jason's heart skipped a beat. The explosion rattled the windows of nearby houses. The light from the impact was so intense that for a moment, Jason thought it had burned away the night itself. Without thinking, Jason grabbed a flashlight and ran toward the source of the crash. His boots pounded against the pavement as he rushed down the street, his mind racing with questions. What had just happened? Was it a plane crash, or something far stranger? Jason turned the corner and saw a plume of smoke rising from the edge of the woods. The trees were scorched, and there was a strange metallic scent in the air. He pushed forward, the beam of his flashlight cutting through the smoke. His hands shook, but not from fear. He was simply curious. When Jason reached the clearing, his breath caught in his throat. There, in the center of the clearing, was a large object round, glowing faintly with an eerie blue light, like something out of a science fiction movie. The metallic surface shimmered, as though it was still absorbing the impact of its landing. Jason hesitated for a moment. The object looked like nothing he had ever seen before. Was this some kind of alien craft? His mind raced with the possibilities. He crept closer, the beam of his flashlight now reflecting off the object's surface. The glowing light was faint but pulsing, like it was alive. The object had a smooth, perfect shape, with strange markings etched into its surface. But before Jason could take another step, a low groan sounded from the wreckage. Jason's heart leaped in his chest. Was someone inside? He moved closer, cautiously, and then he saw her. A woman lay unconscious, half hidden beneath a piece of metal debris. She was small, slender, with pale skin that almost seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Her hair, long and silver, spread out around her like a halo. For a moment, Jason thought she might be hurt. Maybe she was the pilot of the craft. But then, he noticed something even stranger. Her skin wasn't just pale, it glowed, faintly, like the light from the craft. Jason's instinct kicked in. He couldn't leave her here, alone, in the wreckage. He rushed forward, lifting the metal debris off her. Her body felt light, almost weightless, as if she were made of something other than human. As he gently lifted her, her eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she stared at him, her silver eyes wide with confusion. She blinked, as if trying to focus, and then, she whispered in a voice that was soft but clear, "Where am I?" Jason was taken aback. Her voice had an unfamiliar quality to it, smooth, almost musical, and yet there was something else, something foreign about it. You're on Earth," he said, not sure how to explain the situation. The woman's lips parted as she tried to speak again, but no words came out. Instead, her hand moved slightly, and suddenly, Jason felt a strange, tingling sensation in his own hand, where she had touched him. It was as if her touch carried some kind of energy, some unseen force. The woman's eyes widened in recognition. "You," she said, her voice weak but urgent. "You are the one I need." Jason didn't know what to say. He barely understood what was happening. One moment, he was in his garage fixing cars, and now, here he was, standing next to a glowing woman from some kind of alien craft. "You single quotes re. Not from Earth, are you?" Jason asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The words finally escaping his mouth. The woman nodded slowly, a look of sadness crossing her face. "No, I am not. I am Lyra, a princess of a distant world. And you, Jason, are the only one who can help me." Jason's mind raced. A princess, an alien princess. This was madness. Yet something in her eyes told him she wasn't lying. What was going on, and why was he the one she needed? The questions piled up faster than he could process. But one thing was certain. His life was never going to be the same again. This opening sets the stage for the story, introducing suspense and mystery right from the start, and keeping the audience engaged with the strange encounter. It hints at the larger, more dangerous events to come while keeping things grounded in Jason's perspective. Jason's mind was still reeling from what had happened. A glowing woman and alien princess crash landing in his quiet town. And now, she claimed that he was the one who could help her. It didn't make sense, yet every part of him felt that this encounter was no coincidence. He had helped her, gotten her out of the wreckage. But now she was looking at him with those otherworldly eyes, her silver hair shimmering even in the dim light of the abandoned shed where they had taken refuge. "Lyra," Jason whispered, trying to piece together what she had said earlier. "What do you mean by, I am the only one who can help you?" Lyra's gaze faltered as she sat up, her face pale but determined. She seemed to struggle with the weight of the truth she was about to reveal. Her fingers trembled as she touched the jagged scar on her arm, one that pulsed with an eerie glow. "My world is gone," she said softly. "My kingdom, my people, they've all been wiped out by a war that has lasted for centuries. The Zarrak, an ancient and ruthless alien race, destroyed everything, and I was the last to escape." She paused, her voice breaking. "I was sent here, to Earth, for one reason, to survive. But I didn't come alone. They're still after me. And if they find me, if they get their hands on me, they will use my powers to finish what they started. They'll invade Earth, and your world will fall just as mine did." Jason stared at her, disbelief and fear swirling in his chest. "But why me? I'm just a mechanic. I don't know anything about saving planets or fighting alien invasions." Lyra looked at him with an intensity that shook him to his core. "You don't have to know anything, Jason. You are the key. The Zarrak are looking for someone like you, someone with a power they haven't seen before." Jason blinked. "Power me? What kind of power?" Lyra's lips tightened. "The power to change the course of this war. The power to stop the Zarrak." Her words were like a jolt to his system. He had no idea what she meant. Power. He was just a guy who worked with his hands, fixing cars. But there was something about the way Lyra spoke, the certainty in her voice, that made him feel like something far bigger than him was at play here. Something he was caught in, whether he wanted to be or not, before Jason could respond. The sound of heavy footsteps cracked the silence. Lyra's eyes shot wide open. She grabbed Jason's arm with surprising strength, pulling him toward the back of the shed. "They've found us," she whispered urgently. "They're here." Jason's heart slammed against his ribcage. He could hear the distant hum of engines, low and menacing, approaching fast. Something deep inside him told him this was no drill. This was real, and if they didn't act fast, they were as good as dead. Lyra's hands began to glow, a soft but powerful light, as she stepped toward the door of the shed. Jason tried to keep his cool, but panic was rising in his throat. "What are you going to do? Fight them?" Her gaze met his, but this time, there was a cold certainty in her eyes. "I have no choice." She pushed the door open just enough to peek outside. Through the crack, Jason saw a sleek, black ship hovering just above the ground, its engines humming with low power. Soldiers in dark uniforms surrounded the craft, their faces obscured by reflective helmets. They were searching for something or someone. One of them stepped forward, scanning the area. Jason's breath caught as the soldier's eyes locked onto his just for a moment, but long enough to make his blood run cold. The soldier raised a hand, signaling the others. Lyra's body tensed beside him. "They're too close. We can't wait for them to come to us." Without warning, Lyra stepped forward, her hands raised. The air around them seemed to ripple. Jason didn't know what to expect, but suddenly, a wave of intense invisible energy shot through the shed. He could feel the pressure in the air, a force pushing against him. The door slammed shut with a deafening crack, the wood splintering from the shockwave. The soldiers outside stumbled back in surprise, but they quickly recovered. "She's here," one of them shouted, and Jason could see the panic in their movements. They weren't prepared for this level of power. Lyra turned to Jason, her face strained. "Stay behind me," she ordered, her voice low but commanding. "This is where your role begins." Jason didn't know what to do. He wanted to run, to hide, but there was no time. His instincts kicked in, and he found himself moving to stand beside her. Together, they faced the door. The Zarrak soldiers were closing in, and Jason could hear their boots pounding against the dirt, growing louder and louder. Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. "This is just the beginning, Jason, but you need to trust me. We fight, or we die." As the door splintered from the force of the soldiers' impact, Lyra's energy exploded outward again, creating a barrier that threw the Zarrak soldiers off balance. Jason felt the power surge through him once more. He didn't know what he was feeling, but it was raw, uncontained. He had no idea what he was doing, no idea how to fight, but one thing was clear. This wasn't just about surviving anymore. This was about protecting Earth from the same fate that had destroyed Lyra's world. And suddenly, Jason knew. He wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was part of something much bigger. The battle had begun. Jason's heart raced as the last of the Zarrak soldiers staggered back, their dark helmets cracked and faces hidden behind glowing visors. The air hummed with an energy that felt alien to Jason, yet somehow familiar, as if it had been inside him all along, just waiting to be awakened. Lyra stood beside him, her hand still glowing faintly, a visible aura of power swirling around her like a storm about to break, but the calmness in her eyes betrayed nothing. This was only the beginning. "They'll be back," Lyra said, her voice steady, though the exhaustion in her eyes betrayed the toll the fight had taken on her. "And next time, they won't be as easy to stop." Jason glanced at the remains of the door, splintered and broken, the crackling energy still tingling in the air. "Are we supposed to just wait for them to come again? What are we going to do?" Lyra's eyes flickered to the open night sky, the distant hum of Zarrak ships still lingering in the air. "No, we need to move. The longer we stay in one place, the easier it is for them to track us. But first, you need to understand what's at stake. You need to know who the Zarrak really are." Jason's mind raced. He had barely grasped the idea that Lyra was an alien princess, let alone that she had powers he couldn't begin to comprehend. Now, he was hearing something darker, something far more dangerous. The Zarrak are not just conquerors, she continued, her voice low. They are a race of ruthless hunters. They have destroyed countless worlds, including my own. Their goal is to harness the power of those like Methos with abilities they can't replicate. They used to control the entire galaxy. But when my father, the king, resisted them, they wiped out my people, my family, everything. Jason swallowed hard. The weight of her words hit him like a punch to the gut. This wasn't some far-off fantasy, it was real, and it was happening right here, right now. What do they want with you? Jason asked, still struggling to wrap his mind around it all. Lyra's gaze hardened. They want to use my power to rebuild their empire. They believe that I am the last true heir to the throne of the Elysian Empire, and if they capture me, they will use my abilities to create an army powerful enough to crush everything in their path, including Earth. Jason felt a chill crawl up his spine. But why me? Why do they need me? Lyra hesitated, her silver eyes flickering with uncertainty. Because you are the key. The Zarrak didn't know you existed, Jason. They don't know you have the power inside you. When you touched me, something happened, something I haven't fully understood. You're not just a bystander. You're part of something much larger. Jason shook his head, trying to make sense of the words. He had never felt special. He had never been anything more than a mechanic in a small town. You're saying, I have power, too, like you. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, your power is different from mine, but it's connected to me. The Zarrak sensed it when you touched me. They'll come after you, Jason, and when they do, you'll need to be ready. Jason's mind was spinning. He was no hero, no soldier. How could he fight alongside an alien princess to save Earth? But there was something in Lyra's words that resonated deep within him, a sense of purpose he had never felt before he could say anything. The ground beneath them trembled. It wasn't a small shake. It was the kind of quake that could only mean one thing. They were coming. The Zarrak were back. Lyra's eyes narrowed, and she stepped toward Jason, her voice urgent. We don't have much time. The Zarrak can track me, but they're not looking for you yet. We need to find a way to hide, to get you away from here. Jason felt the tension rise in his chest. The night sky seemed to pulse with the presence of something dark, something dangerous. He could hear the distant roar of engines, growing louder, and the unmistakable sound of soldiers moving toward them. Where do we go? Jason asked, his voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside him. Lyra's expression was cold, determined. There's a place, a safe house, far from here, but we can't get there the easy way. The Zarrak will be watching every road, every alley. We'll have to travel through the old tunnels beneath the city. They're abandoned, hidden from their scanners. Jason's mind raced. Tunnels, it seemed like the kind of place straight out of a movie, but he didn't have the luxury of questioning anything right now. We need to move, Jason, Lyra urged. The longer we stay out in the open, the sooner they'll find us. Jason nodded, and together, they sprinted toward the entrance to the tunnels. Moving through the dark streets, hidden in the shadows, every corner felt like it might be their last. The sound of Zarrak's soldiers grew louder. Closer, they reached the entrance, a rusted metal door, hidden behind a wall of ivy and concrete. Lyra's hand glowed softly as she touched the door, and it creaked open with surprising ease. The moment they stepped inside, the air felt different, cool, heavy with the scent of dust and forgotten years. It was a stark contrast to the world outside, where danger loomed just out of sight. Lyra's voice was soft but urgent. This way. We have to move fast. Jason followed, every step echoing in the silent, dark tunnels. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was certain. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was now part of something far bigger than he could have imagined, and whether he was ready or not, the battle for Earth had already begun.